So, smuggling missions in 3.10. I know, it sounds weird, but smuggling missions in 3.10. I'm going to be diplomatic. I'm going to try to be as diplomatic and as generous as I can be. And I'm going to assume that there are certain fundamental errors built into this system that are unintentional. That it's just, this is not a finished product. I mean, nothing in Star Citizen is. And so some of these things reflect that unfinished state, that unpolished state. I'm going to look at this as a general, in the spirit of the idea that they're going for. Because if this was 100% exactly how they see smuggling playing out in the future, then smuggling would be dead overnight. But I'm going to assume that there are certain adjustments that are going to be made, and there are certain finishing touches that have yet to be put in before this is considered a full release candidate. Boom, on the PU, here we go. So I'm going to outline basically the steps, the stages to these missions, and yes, stages. Because the new drug smuggling mission involves working in various stages. So, the first stage is you gotta go and get the raw product. Now, as a warning, when you get into 3.0, you're dealing with a changed flight engine, you're dealing with new landing mechanics, so don't just immediately fly up out of the landing zone and just try to go up into the sky and fly away as we normally have quite successfully for many, many patches now. It is the new landing system, and it's kind of a doozy because you're looking for the markers to lead you out, and until you know what you're looking for, it's very easy to miss them. It's one of those things that once you see it, you know what it is, you know where to find it, but until you do, it's something that you can easily miss, especially given lighting conditions. As we know, CIG is not all that great on designing UIs that don't blend into the backgrounds. They're more concerned with, well, if it's a Drake ship, your UI should be green. If it's a such and such ship, then it should be blue. If it's this ship, it should be red, without kind of really looking at the reality of the situation, which is you're going to need various colors. Now, those are the markers, the blue squares. That is where you have to fly up and out of. If you do not adhere to that flight path, you will be instantly destroyed. It's, that's it. That's the only choice that you have. And that, coupled with the new atmospheric flight, be prepared for this. Move through it fairly carefully, fairly gingerly. Don't get too aggressive until you really get familiar with it, because atmospheric flight is going to, it has shifted, and it has shifted in a very perceptible way. I can only imagine what it's going to be like for larger ships that don't have VTOL, but it's a heck of a thing. But anyways, on to the smuggling. You need to go and get the raw materials first. Now, for me, the mission that I had was in the R-Corp area. I had to go to Walla. From Walla, I had to go to, I had to go from Walla to Lyria to Walla again. It's confusing because there are multiple stages, but you're going to see them all play out here. First, we're here at Paradise Cove. We're picking up the raw materials to make the drugs. So this is one of the drug labs in the R-Corp area. We're running in, we're simply picking up the drugs. That is all. Now, in the original or in the previous versions of Star Citizen, basically you came here, you picked up a package of drugs or whatever, you took them to a destination, you delivered them, that's it. That is, with these missions, that is not the case. The old missions may still exist, and who knows, they may still bring them back, because with these new missions, unfortunately, because of the fact that you're walking through checkpoint after checkpoint after checkpoint, there's a lot of places there where an error can really mess you up. And, are we really at a stage in the game's development where we really want to add additional points of failure? I don't know. I mean, smuggling has been a fairly stable and decently rewarding income for the criminal class of Star Citizen for a while. So, you know, the core smuggling missions as they existed, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, is kind of where I'm kind of leaning right now. I can see the potential of what I think they're aiming for here. I can see that potential, and it sounds good. But the game being in the current state that it's in, I don't know. So we're on our way now to, and I did this mission and even I'm lost. So we're on our way now to Lyria from Walla. We've now picked up the raw materials and we got to take them to get refined into the product, which is Slam. So got to make a quick flight over there and get to that location. So here we are on Lyria. We are now landing at the second place. This is one drug lab to another drug lab, and we are now getting the raw materials refined into the basic product, which is Slam. At it, you know, going through these stages and kind of, I guess, exploring the system, or kind of getting more, you know, kind of intimately into the drug business of Star Citizen, it's kind of a kick. It really is. And that's where I'm saying that I can see the spirit of what they're going for here. I really can, and I like it. I like what they're doing. I mean, you're taking the raw materials, you're getting them refined, you're getting them further refined, and then you're taking them to the destination. That's all great. And I would like to see this, but I would like to see it done on a larger scale. I'm not talking about coming in and picking up this, you know, the singular package, dropping off another package, doing this, doing that, doing the other thing. I would like to see it, you know, like a couple of the large SCU containers in your ship. You go, you drop them off, you wait a certain amount of time for the cargo to be transferred and then replaced in your ship, and then you take off. Something like that would be fairly interesting. However, with the complications of, you know, landing at some of these sites, it might be a good idea to, you know, for right now, just keep it as the basic boxes. When we move on to a point where maybe we can load these onto a Dragonfly or something like that, then we open up some more interesting possibilities. But these are things for the future. The core idea of what they're going for, I like it. So basically, now we've got the raw Slam. We've gone from, I guess, the basic materials to the raw Slam, but now we got to take the drugs and get them cut. In order to do that, we have to go all the way back to Walla. Now, as with the previous location, you drop off your package in one spot and you pick up the item in another spot. And this is kind of one of the first places where I kind of got just momentarily a little bit lost, because as I brought this in, delivered it into the mission box, it's, you know, I kind of just automatically, out of habit, just started clicking on the mission box to try and pick up, but the mission box wasn't letting me pick the drugs up. And I was kind of thinking, like, what's going on here? Oh man, the mission's broken. Come on. You know, this is my first time playing with the system. Don't break on me now. And it wasn't actually broken. The drugs had actually been moved upstairs. You know, I was kind of looking at the little kind of diamond symbol with the little outlines on the corners, and I just figured it meant the machine, but it didn't actually mean the machine. It's actually in the upstairs floor of the building that I was currently in. And it took me a little while I've realized it. I'm like, oh, okay, that's where it is. So yeah, I mean, bit of a gaffe, bit of a goof there, but here we go. We now have the cut Slam, and now this reduces it down to one of the packages that you may have collected from Wallace Klim in the past if you've run his drug running missions. So it's kind of cool. It makes it now, it's something that you can kind of throw in your pocket. You can now carry a gun. Cool. You know, it's all right. You know, now it's kind of believable. You're taking it and you're reducing it down. I mean, I was Yeah, I'm kind of hoping that it's going to become the bigger packages in the end, along with bigger rewards, but we'll get to that in a second. But it is something that you can just kind of hide on your character. Now we got to go and deliver the final product. The delivery location is the admin building on RCorp Area 18, which to me kind of didn't fit. It says it's a dead drop, but when we get there, you're going to see that I think that, once again, this is not working as intended. Now, once again, you're landing, you're going to have to come in fairly carefully. You can't just kind of like zip right in, as we're used to, and just kind of plant yourself near the landing areas and radio for a landing pad. You can't do that anymore. Pad ramming, I guess, is one of the motivating factors behind this. Now you got to kind of guide your way in and, be prepared, because the flight handling has definitely changed. And so you're going to have to be careful, because one wrong move and they just blow you out of the sky. And here, I actually stuttered a little bit here because I went, are those red lights? Does that mean stop? Can I go? Can I stop? A little bit unclear. There's definitely some polish and some work that needs to be done here, but you are able to proceed through that. So I'm now just going to kind of move in and land my ship, which, we talked about this recently, but the fact that we've kind of got this landing guidance system, but the core way that we actually land the ships in the game has received no attention is kind of disappointing. I would rather have this part of the landing be the thing that they attended to, rather than, what they did, which is just like your final approach vector. This is the area that actually needs like those kind of graphics to like kind of guide your ship into a landing slot, rather than that kind of final approach. If we're just using a system like this temporarily, pending a much better development later on, this is where you would kind of want those kind of bounding boxes to show you how to get your ship in there from the cockpit, rather than having to resort to third person. But, this is something that we've talked about enough. Here we are. We've arrived at RCorp safe and sound. Yeah, it's a good idea to use your VTOL engines now, and be a little bit careful of the virtual joystick if you're using mouse and keyboard. It's a little twitchy. But yeah, here we are, safe and sound. Now it's time to get paid. Now, the mission is kind of divided up into stages, as I told you before. So when I saw the payout for this mission, which was listed at 6,000 credits, I thought, okay, that's a little low, so maybe it pays you out by the stage. As you move through more stages, it pays you out. So if there's 3 kind of complete stages, or 3 real main checkpoints that you got to hit, then you kind of complete the mission, then maybe it pays you out that 6,000 credits 3 times. As far as I could see, it does not. But I wasn't actually able to complete the mission because the final stage of the mission is broken. It tells you it's a dead drop in the North IO tower. The problem is that the delivery machines in the North IO tower don't work, and the marker is actually in the G-lock bar, but when I try to place it down in the G-lock bar, it doesn't acknowledge that I've placed it down, and it's showing the marker as being somewhere in the wall. So I'm presuming that that is broken. So I'm going to start to kind of judge this overall now, because you know how this ends. I like the idea of moving through stages. I do. Ideally, I would like to kind of pull back on that a little bit, because we're just giving the servers more chances to 30 chaos, and ultimately that's how this gameplay session ended. In fact, that's how a lot of my gameplay sessions end, is in a 30k error. So the longer we're kind of doing these things, the more chances we're giving 30k to kind of ruin our day. That being said, I love the idea that we're more involved in the smuggling. We're going through kind of like the various checkpoints of the logistical train in the narcotics trade. I like that. It's more immersive. It's more realistic. I kind of feel like, once again, I would like to see the larger cargo boxes. I'd like to see it done on a bit larger scale. Maybe something relative to the ship that you bring. Like, the bigger the ship that you bring, the more that you get. And this is kind of where we talk about the payout. Now, the payout is 6,000, and then it says plus bonuses. And this is kind of where I would really like to see it shift. Depending on the ship that you bring, you should be fully loading up your ship, and the more that you deliver, the more that you get rewarded. The idea of this being a dead drop, I mean, I don't think so. I would rather see this being something that maybe you deliver to, the orbital station above Area 18, or maybe even opening up and just kind of, if it was possible, to just quickly knock together a landing site at Area 11, just even the most basic one. That's maybe, it's not the legitimate landing site, it's an unregulated landing site near Area 11 or something like that, where you would have to drop these things off. I think that would be really cool if we could get something like that in game. But then again, I'm not sure like the full workload that would create. So just a thought, not a recommendation. But I think that if the intention is it's going to be just 6,000, until I can successfully complete this mission, and once again, I was 30K'd out of this, so, and the dead drop just was not working. It was marked in totally the wrong place because it says to go to the IO North building, yet the drop-off location is somewhere inside the wall here, right? I tried running around. I tried trying to see if there was a way underground into the basement or something like that, and I just couldn't find it. And eventually I was disconnected. So I can't really comment too much on the reward because the bonuses are a big kind of unanswered question. What are the bonuses? Could it be bonuses for time? Who knows? Bonuses for not getting snagged or scanned by the police? Maybe. Who knows? I would like to see more info on this, and of course, maybe there is more info that CIG has put out there in some post somewhere, but I kind of like to discover these things, in a more in the game kind of way, and less of like reading a guide or reading patch notes type of way. So it may be that some of these things are there. Obviously, it's not perfect. It's currently, it didn't work for me. It's broken. I can see where CIG is going. I like some of it. I have some personal taste recommendations there. But ultimately, if this is indeed the payout, and the payouts are going to be like this skimpy and the bonuses are not that substantial, this is totally a step in the wrong direction. It takes too long and it doesn't pay enough. But if those bonuses are quite substantial, and maybe we can experiment with less of having to kind of go out and pick up the crate and put it in your ship, but more of just kind of getting to the location and signaling to load your ship, and then signaling to offload and then reload your ship, and maybe having to take the time and run the risk of sitting at that landing spot and while your cargo cycles. Things like that could make it a lot more interesting, a lot more rewarding, and a lot more immersive, I think. So that's kind of the direction I would like to see it go. But it does show some promise. It does show some promise. So I'm going to kind of reserve judgment on this. I'm not going to kind of snap judge it. But I hope that they're going the way I would like to see them go. Because as it is right now, for what I got to see, ultimately, unless those bonuses are substantially rewarding, whatever they are, this is kind of a step backwards, if this is the intent as it's played out here, which once again, early access, probably not. Anyways, that's a look at Smuggling in 3.310. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching. So if you want to keep up with the latest and greatest in Star Citizen and Squadron 42's development,
please follow us on our social media channels. See you soon.